And I am in disbelief that in the last 4 years, the Congress of the United States still hasn't found the political will to do something as basic and as decent as installing a plaque to honor the law enforcement officers who protected all of us and this Capitol on January 6th. This plaque has already been cast in bronze. It's sitting somewhere waiting to be put up. And the only reason, in my view, is not a technicality, but it's really a fear of political backlash, a fear of the truth. We build monuments. We commission plaques for people who served this country decades or even centuries ago. But we can't bring ourselves to honor those who defended our democracy 4 years ago because it might upset the former and current president.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. I know, in the grand scheme of things, that this refusal by House Republicans to display a plaque is not the most important issue, but it matters to me for a couple reasons. First of all, I've gotten to know some of the officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th. They deserve so much better than this. And second, I can't think of a clearer example of the utter lawlessness of today's Republican Party. The displaying of this plaque isn't a suggestion. It's required by law, a law passed by the same legislature that is now ignoring it. The hypocrisy, the cynicism are mind-boggling, and they're matched only by the cowardice of Republican leaders in the House who know that the right thing to do is honor the officers who defended them, but simply cannot bear the thought of offending Donald Trump. I spoke with Harry Dunn about this. He was one of those Capitol Police officers who risked his life on January 6th. Here's our conversation. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. My guest today is Harry Dunn, a former Capitol Police officer who was there on January 6th, defending the Capitol, defending democracy, one of my heroes, and he is now party to a suit against, I believe, Speaker Johnson to compel the posting of this plaque at the Capitol as required by law.
Their own law.
Their own law. Congress passed legislation honoring you and your colleagues for your valiant defense of that building, of that institution of democracy itself, and that was to be commemorated with a plaque at the Capitol. What's the status right now?
So the lawsuit is actually against the architect of the Capitol in his official capacity, because as the way the law is written, it says on this date or 1 year from the signage of this law, the architect of the Capitol will install a plaque to commemorate the officers of January 6th. So the architect of the Capitol is the one actually charged with the action in the law. So that's who we're making the lawsuit against. Now, listen, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of reasons why it hasn't gone up. The Speaker of the House kind of runs the building, so to speak. But the lawsuit isn't directly against him. But one thing that I really hope to find out through this lawsuit is why it was delayed. What is the reason for it? And we hope to find that out. Because it's been 2 years, 3 years since the law, 2 years since the deadline passed, because they gave themselves a 1 year deadline. And it's been 2 years since that's passed. And that it's just unacceptable, especially with all the whitewashing that's going on about it, and them attempting to rewrite what happened that day and hell, just erase it from history.
And it's not a partisan plaque. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It is on behalf of a grateful Congress. It honors the extraordinary individuals who bravely protected and defended this symbol of democracy on January 6th, 2021. I don't think any of that can be disputed. I mean, this is not a Republican plaque or a Democratic plaque, but that day has become so politicized. You have the pardoning of the insurrectionists. You have the demonization of you and your friends who spoke out about what actually happened on that day. I mean, I know you're taking this okay, but how are your buddies dealing with it? It is such a stab in the back.
Yeah, it definitely is. When the news broke of the lawsuit, a lot of about 6 or 7 of my coworkers texted me, my former coworkers that are still on the job texted me and thanked me for keeping this alive. which was very refreshing to hear because, I talked to I still got a lot of friends on the department I still keep in touch with, but they were very happy to hear this news. I mean, the lawsuit's simple. And like you said, this shit isn't partisan. It's not, the lawsuit is about two things. You follow the law or you change the law. Those are the only two possible outcomes. You can't just arbitrarily just do whatever you want to do. The law says hang the plaque. That's the law. It's not a resolution. It's not a memorandum of understanding. It's the law. So follow the law or repeal the law. One of the two things happen. And if you go the latter, we'll love to see how that plays out.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Huge shout out to everyone who has supported this show via our Patreon page. If you want to weigh in with questions for upcoming guests or give us feedback on past guests or make sure you never miss an episode, click the link below. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks a month, just know that we put every dollar back into the show. We do have another reporting trip to Ukraine coming up. Thanks for the help. I am sure you have thought about the contrast between the bravery required of you and your colleagues on January 6th and the utter cowardice of those inside the building, Speaker Johnson foremost among them, who won't even give you a direct answer. And let's be clear, the Capitol architect is just a figurehead at this point. He is not the one resisting this. It is the Speaker who is required to provide instructions for modifications to the Capitol. Those instructions haven't been forthcoming. It is unfortunate that the architect has to bear the brunt of this suit, but it is about the cowardice of the Republican leadership, just unwilling to confront what happened on January 6th.
Yeah, to my understanding, the plaque is done and it's complete. It's been sitting around in a basement. I've seen different congressmen reference that. Mr. Morelli from New York, Jamie Raskin from Maryland have referenced that the plaque is done and sitting in the basement somewhere. And that's unacceptable. So yes, it does speak to the cowardice. I mean, I've heard all kinds of rumors about why the plaque isn't up. I had somebody say the speaker was deciding which bathroom to hang it in. And I don't know if that's true. But based on the way that things have been going, I wouldn't doubt it. But hopefully, like I said, that's what this lawsuit gets to the bottom of. Why it isn't up and to put it up. That's what I want, the acknowledgement. And I don't really care about the acknowledgement. I have enough, attaboys and pats on the back to last me for a lifetime. And I'm grateful for all of it. But it's about everybody else. And it's about them attempting to rewrite history. And they cannot succeed in this. The whole world watched what happened on January 6th. There were victims all across the country. Even if you were not there at the Capitol that day, they tried to overturn the election in your vote. If you did not vote for Donald Trump, that is. So I think it's important that we go forcefully with this lawsuit and refuse to let them rewrite what happened that day.
Well, I think the ultimate memorial is our memory of what happened.
Yeah.
Preserved in video, in the thousands of clips that are out there. The plaque is symbolic. And I understand that, but I am so glad that you are forcing the issue, forcing the leadership in the House to confront their own cowardice about failing to recognize what actually happened that day. Before I end on a slightly lighter note, I meant to ask, you still live in the area. What does it feel like being on the National Mall, looking at that Capitol, as serene and peaceful as it is now, and thinking about where you were and what happened on January 6th?
I kind of look at it, before January 6th, with my time at the Capitol. I was a Capitol Police for 12, 13 years before January 6th, about 12 years or so before January 6th. And I revered that building. I held it in such high regard. I thought about I call it the most powerful square block in the world. But now it's just like a laughing stock. The institution, it's a shell. of what it should be. You know, when I see the Capitol, I just think of the bad memories there. And it sucks because I held that, I cherished protecting it. I cherished it. And, you know, I still remember the good times, but I can't see that building without acknowledging all the bad shit that's happening right now. And a lot of it's because of the state of this country, and a lot of it's due to the current president.
The last time I saw you, Harry, was in a slightly more optimistic moment on the National Mall with the Capitol in the background and the Dropkick Murphys blasting.
Man, what a good time,
that was
bro.
fantastic. But the memory, one of the memories that is sticking with me is you and I walking through the crowd and two sweet old ladies handing you a camera, and I just assumed they were going to be like, "Let's take a picture with Harry Dunn," and they're like, "Hey, sir, can you take a picture of us?"
That is so funny. It's hilarious. And then what they kind of realized who it was, the lady, they kept on tailing us along, and it was like, "I need my picture with you." But you know, it's so humbling. You know, when people want to take pictures. I went out for the No Kings March. I went to 2 different locations in Maryland. And, you know, people were fired up out there. People were excited, and people were asking me for pictures. I had a Captain America shield with me, and it was a really good time. And it gave me some encouragement, man. People were fired up. But it also made me look back and like, where the hell were y'all in November, man? We could have. I saw one sign. I don't know. It was online somewhere. I don't know what state it was in. But it said, if we elected her, we'd all be at brunch right now. And I was like, I couldn't agree more. We wouldn't be out there protesting. We'd be sipping mimosas and eating French toast and Belgian waffles.
That's right. Well, I'm with you. I wish we had seen this in November, but you know what? And for context for our viewers, Harry and I were in Ukraine together.
Yeah.
And thinking about Ukraine, I keep going back to this quote, which applies to our democracy as well. It's Churchill's observation during World War II that Americans always do the right thing after exhausting every other possibility.
That's
and
right.
I just feel like I sure hope we're at the end of exhausting every other possibility and we're going to eventually do the right thing. But I do see the tide shifting.
Yeah.
If we can marshal that kind of energy in the midterms, Trump is going to be in for a rude awakening.
He's in for a rude awakening. So
yeah.
Well,
Harry,
thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yep. Let's do it again soon.
Sounds good, buddy.